Welcome to Empower Humanity. I'm your host, Aimmee Kodachian, not Kardashian. And this segment, we are going to talk about how music can take you on a journey when you're watching a movie. Are you ready?
Yes.
Welcome to the Empower Humanity Show with Aimmee Kodachian, where you can find inspiration, education, healing, peace, and hope. Today's guest, rising star Rey Fernandez Jr., film, TV, and video game music composer. And now, let's welcome Aimmee and her guest.
Rey Fernandez Jr. is a Cuban-American film and video game composer, orchestrator, and music producer. A rising star in the industry, Rey has taken master classes with very well-established composers and orchestrators in Hollywood such as Norman Ludwig and Conrad Pope. He furthered his music education at the prestigious institution Berklee College of Music. Rey has collaborated as a film composer and music producer for different films, for film director and screenwriter Me L. Miller for the film The Hastings, Canonize Me, No Time to Change My Mind, with producer, actor, and model William J. Jackson. He owns a music production company, Rey Fernandez & Sons, with Grammy and Emmy winner and mixing engineer Fitlak Koloti. He has done the music for different video games, such as Space Front and the survival game Day of Dragons. His score for the movie The Denied gave him a nomination for Best Music in the London International Film Festival. His music has been performed and recorded in very recognized orchestras, such as the Moscow Bowtie and the Budapest Scoring Orchestra in Europe. More information about Rey Fernandez Jr. can be found on his website www.reyfernandezjr.com.
Well, welcome back, Rey.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Yes, we're very happy. We're very blessed to have you here. And this is the second segment here we're talking about. We talked about where you came from and your history, and I learned a lot about what happened behind the scene. I mean, common sense, probably we know it, but we don't think about it. We don't think like the music has a whole new, work for the movie, and how much work you put in. But I'm just curious to see what movie inspired you.
Well, there has been many movies that inspire me. One of them that really inspired me, not only the story of it, but also the music, is Schindler's List. And this was Steven Spielberg collaboration with John Williams, composer. It's just very moving. The story of the Nazis and the Jewish people, and all the struggle of the war, and how music was able to tell that story. It's so profound. For me, it was like one of my favorite music scores. And
wow.
It's just unbelievable.
So you want something, you like something basically deep. Is that kind of like your style?
I will say that I'm a very, in music terms, that I love themes. I love things that had melodies that you can remember, because when you step out of the movie theater, ideally, or at least from my perspective, you should remember the music. An easy way to remember the music is when the composer uses melodies and themes. Gone with the Wind is another great example. You remember Tara's theme that has been played by many orchestras all over the world, and it's just a lovely story as well. So I believe that that's the type of composer I am, and the type of composer I want to be.
Yeah, and that's why when I listened to your music, I was like, wow, this is like really, you could feel the soul into the music and how deep you are. And that's again and again and again, I see this new generation have a totally different music maybe taste. Not everyone, but it's different taste, and you're sticking into that deep music. So it's really inspiring. Another question here: if like all these composers who really reached high levels and they've done great movies, is that when you watch the movie and you hear the music, is that scares you or inspire you to want to be even better?
Yes, these composers, like came before us. It's just inspirational for me, and I don't see it as something that I should feel afraid of, because they're just guides. They're like great mentors, spiritual mentors if they're not here. And if you want to see it that way, I feel like nowadays we have the technology, we have the education, and we're getting more and more opportunities. Me being from Cuba, I can write orchestral music. I can write jazz, I can write different genres of music, because we have more tools now and we have more opportunities to education. And I'm just excited to see how the future is going to look like, more diverse, less stereotypes, and it's just wonderful that we live in these times.
That's nice to hear. That's nice to hear, because it's inspiring to see all this hundreds of years of education. Now we're putting it, we have more opportunities to share and learn from what the other generation really taught us.
Yes.
And so what's in store for you? What have you done? A little bit, tell us, and how was your experience?
Sure. I recently worked in a video game called Day of Dragons, and it was an amazing opportunity for me, because I got to work with so many people. Video game music, it's a little bit different from film music, because usually music it's playing over and over and over. There's like different levels, and the programmers have to use music different than music editors in films. So for me, the experience of working in the video game from the composer side was a new learning lesson.
It's different a little bit because it's different?
Yes, it's a different approach to how do you write the music.
Okay.
Yes, I also work in my future film called Scooter, and that was also a very nice experience, because it was recorded as if it was a live show, but the actors were not pretending to be acting. It's like survival type of movie.
Okay.
So making the music for that film was also challenging, because the approach to it was more underscored. So underscoring is a term that we use to, like, when music, it's not very noticeable, but it's trying to accomplish the function of the drama, of taking that dramaturgical elements and cinematographic elements into the film. Yes, it was a great experience.
Do you think that stretched you when you work on not just movie, you work on television? It's different, I believe, too. I'm sure each one of those have a different approach. Is that stretch you? Yes,
and I should say also that nowadays a lot of movies, a lot of TV shows, they're using different elements as far as music. Some shows or some movies are using more like electronic instruments and effects instruments, not your regular orchestral instruments. So me as a composer, I not only have to know the elements of composition, but also you need to learn the technology behind it.
Okay.
Yes, and how that works. So it's challenging, but it's exciting.
It's challenging but exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, it stretches. I think when we do something we don't normally do, we stretch, we grow, we become even better. I know that you have a great team. I know you worked with someone. He won the the Grammy, right?
Yes, yes. That's Phil Colodetti. He's my scoring mixer. The scoring mixer is the person
He's part of your team.
Yes.
So you're working with very powerful people then.
Yes.
Like not powerful in a way, but very talented.
Very talented.
Yeah, that's
very
yeah,
talented.
the right
and,
word.
I'm as good as they are. They just make me a better composer.
Wow.
They're so important to have a great team of people to collaborate with.
Great.
And Phil was, for me, he's an amazing engineer, and he makes my music sound good. So, all credits to him as well.
Yeah.
That's something that I always address when I have conversations, interviews. It's not just me. There's people behind me, and the heart goes to them.
Oh, that's a beautiful spirit. I really, when I met you, and I met your wife, and it just was so refreshing to meet such a beautiful soul like yourself, and rising star, and humbling, and like you have a very tender heart, and I just feel the music through you, really. And when I heard the music, it matches your personality. Because sometimes you meet actresses or some, you don't see them have the same personality. You have a different vision, about them, but their true personality is a little bit different. Hearing your music and knowing you, it just matches, you know what I mean? It just, that's the uniqueness I see, and that's why you are rising star.
Thank you.
And again, it's really humbling to be next to somebody that I feel that you're gonna go very, very high.
Thank you.
Very, very
Thank
high.
you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So what else can you share with us?
Well, I don't know what would you like to know. I would like to know.
Right. Usually, I mean, when you do a movie, how many people are involved, like in your team?
It varies. It depends how big the project is. Also depends the budget as well. It's when we have a small budget, it's not the same as when we have a bigger budget. It depends.
What's the average?
I will say that the music team, without counting the orchestra members, could be between 5 and 10 members.
And how about the orchestra? That depends on the budget?
That also depends on the budget, the style of music, the genre of the film. Some producers, they rather go another way. They say, okay, can you combine little instruments from the orchestra, but have more synthesizers and virtual instruments, especially with modern films, action films, or I want more drums because it's an action film. I want more, feel the power, feel the energy of the intensity of the music. So it really varies. It really varies.
Now, when you choose the team who's doing the music, is that something important to the composer, or just as long they read it and they can play it?
When you work with musicians, these are usually really high-trained musicians. They're in the case of Hollywood and Los Angeles, they're union musicians, and these are the best players in the world.
Yeah.
And these people will take your sheets and they will play it right away. And it can be like really, really hard music, but they'll nail it. And because of budget and because of deadlines, and in the case of union musicians, they have certain rules that you need to obey as a composer when you hire them.
Okay.
For example, the minimum of hours you can hire at the studio, and you cannot pass certain hours. So it's
so specific.
It's specific,
Okay.
but they can play a lot of music in 6 hours, and every minute every minute counts. Every minute it's money.
Wow.
They make it worth it.
So if your budget is it's okay, like medium budget, and you have the music, how much difference that could make if it's reading correctly? Like, is that gonna make a huge difference?
Well, I would say that it can be the budget. It's very important, but nowadays we have more options than before. Before, Hollywood studios, they will have their own orchestras and their own composers. And nowadays we can record in LA, we can record in Budapest, in Europe, we can record in London, we can record in Nashville. And it's just, it's different places, but
More
you have
options.
you have the strengths and weaknesses from every different group.
And that's
So-
a decision you have to make?
Yes, along with the producers.
Yeah.
It really, it's you give them options, you know, you give them options, and with high budget films, you just want to go with the best musicians.
Yeah, of course. So what else can you share with this? Is like very insightful behind the scene. We're learning a lot of things about how music really, how much will take, how long will it take for, like here, that's a question for you. How long will it take to do like 2 hours movie? How long that will take to put the music together?
I would say that for a 2-hour movie, it will usually be around 1 hour of music, because this is not a musical where it's all over the place. It can take a lot of time for us as a composer, and sometimes we will be working 24 hours. Sometimes we'll be working 7 days a week, and like I mentioned before, the deadlines are crucial. So the producer, he
You're
doesn't.
under pressure.
You're under pressure, but you know it's funny because sometimes, at least for me, under pressure is when better things comes. It's like, okay, I'm under pressure is when my mind is more
Working.
Working.
Yeah.
Instead of if I have like 1 year to write something, you know, you procrastinate.
Yeah.
But when you have like 1 month only or 2 weeks, then your mind is like active. You know.
So basically, what happened is you get the story, and by having you being under pressure, you're actually in the story. If you have it 1 year, then your emotions could be different places. So you want to stay focused. Is that helps the pressure just to stay focused on that?
I would say that, you know, the pressure is just a reminder that you have to come out with something, and you know, there's not even time sometimes to
think about it. You need
think
just
about
to
it.
do
You just do it, and then you try to make the best out of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's when the team, having a great team comes into play, because and then having a director that understands you, and we can go back to that relationship between the director and the composer. It's crucial, because if the director knows you, he will give you more, what's the word, you will have more opportunity for doing things without having someone be like, okay, I don't like this, I don't like that, because he knows you, he
Trusts
gives
you.
he trusts you. I will say that's very important.
The relationship.
The relationship between
Yeah.
the director and the composer.
Yeah, it comes with the harmony.
Yes, yes. And there might be situations where you just you're not doing the right thing, the right part, and then you have to redo everything again.
Wow.
And that's, you know,
That's not fun to do.
I would
right?
say that, you know, as a composer, you know, you don't want to get fired. You
Yeah,
know? So
yeah.
you wanna do a great job. You wanna do
Well,
a
you
great
want to
job.
do it for yourself, to have to deliver something the
You
way
wanna
you deliver it.
you wanna deliver, and you definitely want to nail
Yeah.
the message. For at the end, it's about the movie. It's not about my music.
Okay.
It's about the movie.
About
Yes.
the movie.
Yes.
Put the baby first.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
What is the biggest orchestra that you had?
I recorded with in Europe with the Budapest Korean Orchestra, with the Moscow Botai in Russia. I mean, I think it was like maybe 100-piece orchestra.
For one film?
For example, for the video game project that I mentioned before. It was
100?
100 people orchestra.
Okay.
Yes, so It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was great. It was great.
Well, I'm sure that's a lot of work, and then all the pressure on you, like you said.
All the pressure on you.
All the
Everybody
pressure
looks at you, and something sounds
not right. Like,
not right.
Okay.
But you want to work before that. You don't want to.
you're prepared.
You don't want to get to that point where like, okay, what is this sounds like? No, you had to
do your homework.
Go over things, and there's a lot of aspects of delivering the music to the orchestra that I haven't mentioned, but it's a lot of. So now
tell me, how are you gonna take us on a journey through reading my book, and then how are you gonna take us on the film? What did you feel there? What did you?
When I read your book, I mentioned it was very inspirational, and I think that something very unique about your book is that it's been told from the perspective of a young girl, and we don't see that often. So I always think that even though there is war, there are problems, there are things going on around that little girl, I still feel that the purity and the innocence of the girl is there, and the message to the world it's there. So I feel attracted to the story when I read your book, and that's how we met.
I know, because you're when we met, and you're smiling about when you're talking about the book, like, oh my gosh, I want to do this, and you could see the potential. And you said this is gonna be, I'm gonna let you say it, this movie is gonna be huge.
Yes.
It's more international.
It's a universal story based on another culture, or in another culture that we're not used to see, especially here in America. So I feel like the message, it's universal, but it's been told from Lebanon, another part of the world. So that's just very interesting to me, and I'm looking forward to see how that's going to turn into.
So what attracted you when you found my book on, it's hard to ask you questions about my book, but we want to know, right? I want to know. I haven't asked you those questions yet. When you saw the book online, and then what inspired you to connect with us?
It was the name.
The name.
The name, that's the first thing that I look into.
Okay.
Tears of Hope, Lies from the Shadows. And I was just interested about what's the message, and then I read the plot of the story, and I felt that that's something that really I'm passionate about. I'm very passionate about, especially like I mentioned, because it's the story from a young child, and I think that's a topic that most people should write about, not only women, but more about children. It's a topic that we should discuss. And when I read the story of a powerful woman, just as yourself, I felt very inspired, and I wanna help your vision, and I wanna help get this message across the world.
That's amazing, because. You said, when we met on Zoom, you said, before we met on Zoom, I read the email, and the email said from your agency, they said, there is several projects, but we're interested only specifically with Tears of Hope. And when I read that, it was like, wow, it's been chosen. Like, you chose this particular one, and you're interested in that, and that's it. You're not interested in anything else. And that just made me feel so not special myself, but the message that I'm trying to deliver, how important to have someone who really see the message through just the name. That's amazing. And as you know, I'm giving 75% from it, because it's not about me, it's about helping others. And we're gonna work together on something different. We're gonna have another interviews for that. And I'm so excited for the next project we're gonna do. Because that is gonna be, when I saw you yesterday when we were having the meeting, and you were talking about how passionate you are about the subject, the we can tell them.
Yeah, that's fine.
The Rise Above song, and we're gonna take, and you start to come up with some ideas how you're gonna put this together. I'm watching you, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's like a puzzle found each other. And you wanted to take that even internationally, and you were willing to donate your time on that particular project. And that's meant a lot for me, but we're gonna bring more people to help us with that and take it to where it needs to be.
Absolutely.
Right?
Sounds good.
And this is just beginning of relationship to take our message, basically, both of our message, to help others and especially children around the world, and to let them know that we are here, we're hearing you, and we're gonna make things happen, right?
Absolutely. We will.
Anything else you'd like to share with us?
Yes, I will say that going back to you and your story, it is a necessity in this world that we can read more stories about women, because not a lot of people are doing that.
Now you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, at his age, cares about women and what women has to go through and to help that.
Yes.
That's the conversation, and every time I talk to you, it's like it's unbelievable.
Yes. So
It's
I feel like the
unbelievable.
awareness has, it's something that I'm looking forward. More awareness. I'm looking forward to see how other people are inspired by your story and what they can come to share with us. Because I'm sure that that little Aimmee was not the only person that was going through things
that's
and in a daily basis.
I'm speaking so many people's voice,
Yes.
and that's the
Yes.
beauty about this.
Yeah, so for that, I'm really thankful to have met you and to read your story, your book, and you're the type of women that this world needs.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. You're making me choke here. It's not because you're praising me, it's because you're praising women and you're praising children, and you're willing to share your talent with the world and to deliver the message to help, to give hope, because hope is very important. And let someone know that someone sitting on the stage or having a TV show or having a composer, that they think about them, just to inspire children, just to inspire them. That means the world. To a child sitting across the world, knowing that we're talking about them, we feel them, we understand them. So thank you so much for that big heart you have.
Thank you so much.
It's a blessing to work with you.
The same.
And I hope all of you enjoyed this interview. There is so much coming. And if you saw what I saw yesterday, the passion that he had, you'll understand why I'm so excited about where we're going from here. How are we going to help? How are we going to reach the people around the world and tell their story and let them know they're not alone. What a blessing to have this opportunity to know Rey and know his heart. And it is absolutely it's something I was not expecting, to have someone to reach out because they were attracted to the name and what this mission is all about. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. Please go watch the first segment. And I hope to hear from you. If you go to empoweringhumanitystv.com and share with us your thoughts about the interview and everything we're doing in Empower Humanity. From my team and I, we thank you so much for your support and love.
If you would like to be part of the studio audience or would like to be involved, please visit EmpoweringHumanityTV.com. Sponsored by The Negotiator Mind, shifts your perspective on life. Red Valley Media Group and the Women's Federation for World Peace at WFWP.us.